This video isn't for you, it's for me. I mean, granted, that's basically true about all of my videos, but this one, overtly so. I'm not even really expecting anybody to watch this, unless you watch all of my videos. This video needs to be here to continue the story of my post. It's like a filler episode. I feel this need to flesh out context of what's going on and why I'm posting the things I'm posting, get a clearer picture of the bigger picture goal. Cause y'all, I just had to face some uncomfortable truths that have forced me to pivot my direction in a few ways. And I haven't talked about that overtly in content because I've needed to have a lot of personal conversations, do some thinking over who's worth having personal conversations with, you know what I'm saying? And a huge painful part of making these sorts of life pivots is it requires holding oneself accountable. I feel like I have been a shithead and gotten away with it because the shitty things I've done have been so subtextual and so subconscious that nobody noticed. And the overall bitch slap lesson of this season of my life has been the way that I have been relating to literal communication and subtextual communication, which is kind of hilarious because I literally taught holistic autistic communication classes. But honestly, that's a big part of it. Learn by teaching, right? I had to look at these concepts, and once I started seeing toxic patterns in myself, I couldn't unsee them. I literally pride myself on being able to teach people how to see this shit. If I can't show it to myself, then what the hell good am I doing? And I've had to come to this startling, disturbing realization that as it currently stands, with this autistic, narcissistic brain that has been studying neurodivergence and human nature and interpersonal relations, I cannot relate to other human beings in a way that they will like without manipulating them. These are my options. Either I am honest and on the level, blunt and truthful, and everyone hates me, or I do sneaky, underhanded shit and I hate myself. You might be thinking autistic black and white thinking. Well, maybe. This is just how it looks to me right now. This isn't an objective truth. This is a first gear. This is how it looks when I'm looking at it right now. Basically, there might be another option at the top of the ladder I'm climbing, but I'm still on this rung right here, which is how all of us should look at whatever limitations or shortcomings we have. Just because there's a chance we might be able to build or improve upon it doesn't mean that we should ignore our present realities. We cannot move on from a present reality without acknowledging the present reality. So where the fuck does that leave me with trauma healing content? I am really, really uncomfortable with having a teacher role. I'm fine with having a teacher role, knowing that I'm going to make mistakes and that I have to pivot and that I have to learn, but that doesn't change the fact that the public, that the people expect me to be firm and true and stable. I can't be wishy-washy. If I put myself in a teacher position and I screw up, I look like a hypocrite. It looks like the blind leading the blind. But I think everyone is the blind leading the blind. I think it's the expectations of the people that are silly. I want to be blunt and honest, but people hate me for that, and I can't help people who hate me. And if you followed the holistic autistic communication stuff, then you know that I don't really hold it against people that they don't like me being that forceful and direct. I think there are reasons for that make sense. So I've been rolling this paradox around in my head. How can I be an honest, direct person who doesn't play games in a way that makes people feel safe, that doesn't make people feel invaded? And hilariously, TikTok, microvlogs in general, are like the polar opposite of what I'm trying to achieve. I'm not giving you wiggle room to think for yourself. It's like a sharp, pointy, jabbing, this is what I think. And I've said in videos recently, I don't want to make you like me. I want you to feel powerful. Part of me wanting you to feel powerful is wanting for you to make your own decisions about the things that I say, and literal communication just doesn't feel like you're giving people room to think for themselves. All of this is to say, I need to make more room in my life for fiction. Outside of neurodivergence and trauma healing, what am I always talking about? Fallout and Cyberpunk. Why? Because these are open world video games where you change the outcome of the story by making decisions. I enjoy running around in those spaces and thinking for myself within the frameworks of their lore. And I enjoy seeing other people coming to different conclusions and choosing different paths in these worlds. Plus, I've also observed for years that taking video and pictures inside video games is my favorite freaking thing to do. Also, there isn't as much conflict of interest in doing capitalism in regards to fandom and fiction, as opposed to the neurodivergence and trauma healing stuff. Like, I tried really hard to fit into that world of making money, doing coaching and teaching, but something about it just doesn't feel right to me. There's too much telling people what to think and not encouraging people to think for themselves. I was suffering with this imposter syndrome, not being a doctor, not being a teacher with a teaching credential, and not being trustful of the system that would give me these credentials that would make this imposter syndrome go away. So I was just torn because on one hand, I'm like, I don't believe I need these things to know what I'm talking about, but at the same time, I'm not giving these people a reason to believe me that I'm satisfied with. You know, like I've talked about how to me, I think that in my narcissism, I don't think that I should leap up and announce that everybody should listen to me because I said so. I feel strongly driven to do whatever work is necessary so that I deserve that. And that's the kind of thinking that the trauma healing community actually discourages. They're like, do what you want to do. Don't wait for other people to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they sure are self-serving about when they play that card though, aren't they? Like when they want to leap up and say that they're a coach and they're a teacher with no credentials whatsoever, then screw the system. I do what I want and people will follow me or they won't. Okay. But if the people who follow you and look up to you have issues with the way that you're doing things, you can just block out everything that doesn't line up with the way that you want to do this and just call it boundaries. And you still have your toxic positivity, spiritual bypassing cult, and whoever you just kicked out is alone. You think that person can start their own spiritual bypassing cult? I already did a video for my Fallout channel, but this very much relates to Fallout New Vegas. This is Mr. House's logic. I can set my boundaries of New Vegas and have everything be perfect here, but Freeside, fuck 'em. The Wild West of neurodivergent trauma healing is playing out very stereotypical political mind games. And that's just not for me. I think if we want to learn to self-actualize and think for ourselves, connect with our spirits, and move through the world in a healing, constructive way, we do that best through stories. Telling stories, it's kind of like being a magician. You're giving people consent to manipulate you. And because of that consent, it's no longer manipulation, and it just becomes influence, persuasion. They can fail to influence you. They can fail to persuade you. And you can still have a good relationship. But if they fail to manipulate you, then they're a jerk. I mean, they are if they succeed too, but I think you get what I'm saying. I want to honestly manipulate people. I want to honestly persuade and influence people. I want to live my life, fuck up, learn things, and then when I learn things that really help me make my life better, I would like to somehow present and transfer those ideas to other people to submit for their approval. If the ideas don't work, we fix them, we move on. Have a flexible back and forth of ideas with the world. And the teaching dynamic, the I know and you don't know dynamic is flawed. Wherever I'm going with this is going to be on the YouTube channel Dinstopia. Not totally solid on the details yet. I don't want to make promises. I'm in a growth period. I'm figuring things out. Expect Fallout lore and Cyberpunk lore. Cyberpunk definitely. I have so much back-due Cyberpunk related creativity that I just have had no idea what to do with yet, and I think that this is going to be its moment. And I'm going to be at Fallout New Vegas weekend, this weekend. So if you're going to be in Vegas, and for those of you who really do like watch everything I put out, thank you. I swear it's going somewhere. I'm betting everything on it. You know, it's only my life.